Mend with me. Hi, my name's Lauren. I teach visible mending, and today I want to show you how to fix a ripped waistband of some thrifted jeans. The first one I tried was just traditional needle weaving darning, and this left the inside of my waistband unfinished. And I did that on the second one and decided to try to finish the waistband with some Ronda embroidery, which I thought made it really puffy. So I figured out a way to weave both the inside and the outside of the waistband, and this is what I want to walk you through. The first step, as always, is to snip away any frayed threads that are going to get in the way of your embroidery. I also like to draw myself a guide, so I just drew a quick square around the rip so I had somewhere to embroider to. This is a perfect scrap thread jar project. If you have one, pull out your scraps and grab the longest threads and make a color palette for yourself. So right from the jump, this is going to be different than your traditional needle weaving darning. What you're doing traditionally is making an anchor stitch, taking a longer stitch across your working area, making an anchor stitch, going up and working the other way. I decided to do the satin stitch, so what I'm doing is bringing my needle from behind my project up over to the other line, bringing it down, and from behind my project, bringing my needle all the way around. This is leaving thread on both the inside and the outside of my project, and they are mirror images of each other. This allows me to make a weave on the inside and make a separate weave on the outside, just completing the fabric of the waistband as it normally would be, which is two separate pieces of fabric. To start without making any knots, I am bringing my thread through the bottom part of my waistband and leaving a tail. We are going to go back to more traditional darning, so if you are familiar with that, we are making anchor stitches in our fabric. We only have one part of fabric to work from, so in the bottom we're making a little anchor stitch. I'm going through the fabric of my waistband and then hopping over to start a new line of weaving. For my long horizontal stitches, when I use the satin stitch, I did use sashiko thread. My thread jar is a mix of sashiko and embroidery floss. You can use either one interchangeably. I will say embroidery floss is meant to separate into 6 different strands, so that does make it a little bit more difficult when you are trying to weave. It doesn't make it impossible. I found sashiko was easier to do this with, but you can use whatever you have on hand. It's just something to consider when you're choosing your materials. I began and ended each thread through my waistband, so I don't have any knots in this project. My biggest tips are just to take time to scoot your vertical threads over to the right or the left, whichever way you're working, just to keep your weave nice and tight. This is a perfect time to experiment with different thread colors and different kind of darning patterns. The last step I chose to take, which I don't find it necessary but just more aesthetically pleasing, I used this satin stitch to finish the top edge of my waistband. The 2 little separate weaves that I made are still 2 separate pieces of fabric, and using the satin stitch going across the top just kind of unifies the whole thing and doesn't make it an empty space in between there. So this is how I chose to address the situation. I kind of want to make this a pattern, maybe all around the waistband. That would look good. And a short recap, I thrifted these jeans with 4 cuts already made in them, and I worked out the best way on how to mend. In my opinion, weaving the inside and the outside of the fabric is my favorite way to do it, but my next video will also show you how to mend the outside of the fabric and patch the inside. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful, and I'll catch you on the next.